A heavy barrel bobs on the water's surface as it floats. On a passenger ship nearby, two sailors spot the barrel drifting in the sea. The ship is currently hosting a formal dance for its wealthy passengers, and amidst them, a charming young girl receives an invitation to dance from a man. Meanwhile, the two sailors decide to cast out a rope to retrieve the barrel, believing it to contain alcoholic beverages. However, as they pull the barrel closer, another sailor catches sight of a pirate ship in the distance. This particular ship stands out with its pink hue, belonging to the pirate Alvida. The pirate vessel, known as the Miss Love Duck, opens fire with its cannons, causing the barrel to slip from the sailor's grasp and roll into the ship's kitchen. Chaos ensues as the pirate ship launches an attack on the cruise vessel, drawing alongside it and enabling Alvida and her crew to board. Strangely, the young girl who had been invited to dance appears surprisingly content. Amidst the pirate raid, Kobe, a young boy who serves as a slave to Alvida, manages to sneak into the ship's kitchen and discovers the barrel. While he attempts to move it away, several pirates enter and question his suspicious behavior. Claiming their thirst, they demand to open the barrel. Just as one of the pirates is about to smash it open with his fist, the barrel unexpectedly bursts open and Monkey D. Luffy leaps out, astonishing everyone present. The pirates attempt to attack Luffy, but they are swiftly defeated and flee, leaving Kobe intrigued by the enigmatic newcomer. Ignoring Kobe's attempt to stop him, Luffy heads towards the ship's storage cellar, carefree and casually indulging in apples from a crate. Inside the cellar, he inquires whether they are aboard a pirate ship. Kobe clarifies that they are not. Instead, they are on a cruise ship currently under siege by pirates. Luffy proceeds to recount how his small boat was destroyed in a whirlpool and how he barely managed to survive by seeking refuge in the barrel. In turn, Kobe shares his own experience of unwittingly boarding a pirate ship while intending to go fishing, resulting in his capture by Alvida's crew and subsequent servitude since 2 years. Luffy then reveals his dream of becoming the Pirate King, a proclamation that shatters Kobe's composure as he realizes Luffy's true identity of being a pirate. As this conversation unfolds, Alvida's pirates report to their captain the presence of a barrel monster on the ship, possibly the feared pirate hunter Zoro. They are completely unaware that the young girl who danced earlier is secretly pilfering their treasures. Meanwhile, Luffy shares with Kobe his unwavering determination to achieve his dream of becoming the Pirate King, even if it means risking his life to obtain immeasurable wealth and fame. One can become the Pirate King only after acquiring a secret treasure called One Piece. Inspired by Luffy's words, Kobe resolves to fulfill his own dream of joining the Navy and apprehending criminals, including his pirate mistress. Suddenly, Alvida herself crashes through the cellar ceiling and locks eyes with Luffy, making it clear that he is not the person she had expected. Luffy, in his typical irreverent manner, queries the identity of the fat lady, inciting Alvida's rage. She launches an attack, but Luffy swiftly grabs Kobe and propels himself out of the cellar onto the ship's deck. As Alvida's pirates swarm Luffy, he dispatches them effortlessly using his Gum Gum rocket attack, leaving everyone astonished. Alvida deduces that Luffy must have consumed a devil fruit, granting him his rubber-like abilities. Luffy clarifies that he is a rubber man who consumed the Gum Gum fruit. Luffy expresses his desire to discover the legendary treasure known as One Piece and is currently in search of a crew, believing that a team of 10 people would suffice. Alvida takes it as a joke and poses a question to Kobe, inquiring about the identity of the most beautiful woman in the world. Kobe, who had been conditioned by Alvida to obey her every command, surprises the evil pirate by taking inspiration from Luffy and standing up for himself. He boldly proclaims that Alvida is an unpleasant, overweight, and aged woman. She becomes infuriated by Kobe's defiance and launches an attack against him. However, Luffy comes to Kobe's defense, enduring a blow from Alvida's weapon directly on his head without flinching. He declares that a regular attack like that won't have any effect on someone made of rubber. Luffy then counterattacks with a powerful Gum Gum pistol attack, sending Alvida flying and defeating her with a single strike. He commands the remaining pirates under Alvida to prepare a boat for Kobe's departure. Suddenly, naval vessels approach, prompting Luffy and Kobe to swiftly board the boat and sail away. As they leave, they catch a brief glimpse of a girl pilfering all the jewels from her own vessel. Setting sail into the vast expanse of the sea, Kobe speculates that Luffy's destination is indeed the Grand Line as he aspires to become the Pirate King. Luffy confirms his intentions and proceeds to inquire about the whereabouts of the pirate hunter Zoro. Kobe reveals that the hunter has been apprehended by the Marines, leaving Luffy to express his intention of recruiting him as a member of his crew. Kobe's reaction is once again filled with disbelief as he perceives Zoro as an incredibly formidable and fearsome individual. Undeterred, Luffy firmly resolves to enlist Roronoa Zoro as his next crewmate. Meanwhile, the scene transitions to a nearby Marine base, where a mysterious and immensely strong man, donning a green bandana, is bound to a cross, gazing upward with fierce determination. On their boat, Luffy and Kobe set sail towards the Navy island where Zoro is being held captive. Kobe once again recounts the fearsome reputation of Worono Zoro, who was known as a relentless bounty hunter. As they reach the island, a massive marine base comes into view. Walking through the town, the mere mention of Zoro's name and the Navy captain Morgan sends the townspeople into a state of panic. Perplexed, Kobe wonders why the residents are so afraid of the Navy captain. Approaching the Marine base, Kobe anticipates bidding farewell to Luffy as he plans to enroll in the Marines. However, Luffy scales the walls and spots Zoro tied to a cross. In the midst of their observation, a girl child named Rika appears, carrying a ladder. She climbs the wall and presents Zoro with rice balls she painstakingly made, pouring her heart into each one. Suddenly, Helmeppo, a haughty individual and Captain Morgan's son, arrives accompanied by a group of Marine soldiers. He rudely devours one of Rika's rice balls, dismissing it as disgusting due to the improper use of sugar instead of salt. Helmeppo proceeds to crush the rice balls under his foot and has Rika thrown out over the wall. Luffy intervenes just in time to save her. Once Helmeppo departs, Luffy approaches the pirate hunter and extends an offer to join his pirate crew. Zoro, however, declines the proposition and refuses to be free from his restraints, determined to endure his current predicament. However, he requests that Luffy let him consume the flattened rice balls and eats them with genuine appreciation. Later, Luffy meets Kobe and Rika in the town, where he mentions Zoro's fondness for the rice balls. Curiosity piqued, Luffy questions whether Zoro truly embodies evil. To this, Rika responds that he is actually a good-hearted person. She recounts an incident when Helmeppo brought his ferocious pet wolf into a local bar, wreaking havoc. Rika bravely attempted to stop the wolf, endangering herself in the process. Zoro intervened, swiftly incapacitating the beast and subsequently defeating Helmeppo. However, the Marine captain's son struck a deal with Zoro in exchange for Rika and her mother's safety from his father's wrath. He asked the so-called pirate hunter to be imprisoned for a month without food or water. Zoro accepted it just for Rika and her mother. Seeking refuge in a restaurant, Luffy, Kobe, and Rika overhear Helmeppo boasting about Zoro's impending execution the following day. Enraged by his deceit, Luffy delivers a powerful punch, prompting Helmeppo to flee and report the incident to his father. At that moment, Captain Morgan is overseeing the construction of a statue in his likeness atop the Marine base. He violently strikes his son and belittles him upon hearing Helmeppo's account. The ruthless captain then orders his soldiers to kill Rika for aiding Zoro and even slays one of his own men when he refuses to comply. Meanwhile, Luffy proceeds to try to untease Zoro while he reminisces about his childhood. Luffy implores him to join his pirate crew, but Zoro declines and expresses concern over his confiscated swords. Determined to retrieve them, Luffy propels himself upward using his Gum Gum rocket, unintentionally toppling the statue in the process. Fueled by rage, Morgan orders his execution. Undeterred, Luffy seizes Helmeppo and ventures into the base, frantically searching for Zoro's swords. Outside, Kobe endeavors to free the pirate hunter while explaining the dire circumstances. Meanwhile, the mysterious girl from the cruise silently infiltrates the Marine base. Inside a chamber, Luffy forcefully drags Helmeppo along, leading him to the room where Zoro's swords are held. Meanwhile, Captain Morgan and his contingent of soldiers encircle Zoro and Kobe, preparing to carry out their execution. Rifles raised, the soldiers unleash a hail of bullets, and in that moment, Zoro reflects on his unbeatable spirit, recalling a girl from his childhood who had strived to strengthen him. However, just as the bullets approach their targets, Luffy springs into action, launching himself from the confines of the Marine base. His elastic body acts as a shield, blocking the bullets and deflecting them away. Amazed and bewildered, Zoro queries the identity of this remarkable individual. Luffy confidently declares himself as Monkey D. Luffy, destined to become the Pirate King. Luffy proudly presents Zoro with his 3 swords, admitting he wasn't sure which one belonged to him, so Luffy took all of them. He then sarcastically asks Zoro if he would like to join Luffy's crew or die at a place like this. Zoro, who utilizes all 3 swords in his unique sword style, agrees to join his crew after being entertained by Luffy's audacity. Meanwhile, the stunned Marines contemplate Luffy's incredible bullet deflection skills. Captain Morgan deduces that the rubber guy must have consumed a devil fruit, and when Zoro inquires about it, Luffy reveals he ate the Gum Gum fruit. Captain Morgan elaborates on the enigmatic devil fruits, telling about rumors of their granting supernatural abilities like fire breathing and tsunami generation. Zoro accepts, acknowledging that he still has unfinished business and a vow of becoming the greatest swordsman ever to fulfill. He makes it clear that if Luffy ever hinders his dream of becoming a renowned swordsman, Zoro will not hesitate to kill him. With swords drawn, he liberates himself from the cross. Morgan commands his soldiers to attack, prompting them to unsheathe their cutlasses and charge forward. Luffy employs the Gum Gum Wipe attack, swiftly eliminating all of them. Morgan, furious, discards his coat and reveals himself as Axe-Hand Morgan, ready to take matters into his own hands. Accepting the challenge, Luffy charges at him, attacking him valiantly. However, their clash is interrupted when Helmeppo points a gun at Kobe's head. blackmailing Luffy to cease his assault. Fearlessly, Kobe declares that he will not stand in the way of his friend's dream, even if it means sacrificing his own life. Luffy turns towards Helmeppo, preparing to strike, only to be intercepted by Morgan. Just as the villain swings his axe, Luffy employs Gum Gum Pistol to send Helmeppo flying with a powerful blow. However, Morgan's axe fails to reach Luffy's head as Zoro swiftly slashes him across the chest. Morgan crumples to the ground, defeated, and to everyone's surprise, the Marines toss their weapons in the air, celebrating their captain's downfall. Meanwhile, the mysterious girl from earlier discovers a map of the Grand Line in the Marine base. Nonetheless, she finds a note from the enigmatic immortal Captain Buggy, indicating that he has already taken the map. Later, Luffy, Zoro, Kobe, Rika, and her mother gather in a local restaurant, indulging in a hearty meal. Curious about Luffy's next destination, Rika inquires, and he confidently proclaims his intention to venture into the treacherous Grand Line in search of One Piece. Kobe expresses shock, warning of the Grand Line's dangers and its reputation as the pirates' graveyard. Nevertheless, Luffy remains resolute in his dream. Zoro asks about the size of Luffy's crew, to which the latter responds that Zoro is the first member. To everyone's astonishment, Luffy casually points out their small boat, revealing his lack of planning skills. As they discuss Kobe's aspirations to join the Navy, the Marines suddenly enter the restaurant. They demand that Luffy and Zoro depart the island immediately due to their pirate status. Although the townspeople harbor ill feelings towards the Marines for their mistreatment under Morgan, Lieutenant Ripper decides not to report the pirates to Marine headquarters as a gesture of gratitude for ousting Morgan. Luffy and Zoro prepare to leave, and Ripper inquires about Kobe. Seizing the moment, Luffy jokingly divulges Kobe's past, pretending to about to claim that he was once a member of Alvida's pirate crew. This information can destroy Kobe's dream to be a Navy, as they do not accept anybody related to pirates in the Navy. As his frustration reaches its peak, Kobe unexpectedly throws a punch at Luffy, triggering a swift retaliation from him as he strikes back. Observing the situation, the Marines realize that Kobe is no longer aligned with them, prompting them to order Luffy and Zoro to depart from the island immediately. As they make their way out, Kobe recognizes that Luffy has done him yet another favor by creating the impression that he is not a pirate. Filled with newfound inspiration, Kobe expresses his desire to join the Marines and is accepted by the lieutenant. Outside, Luffy and Zoro board their boat and set sail, accompanied by a salute from the Marines who appreciate their efforts in saving the town, including Kobe. He vows to cross paths with Luffy once again, this time as a Marine encountering a pirate. Later, while on their journey, Zoro questions Luffy about his unwavering determination to become the Pirate King. Luffy reveals that he made a solemn promise to a certain individual who bestowed upon him his iconic straw hat. Luffy emphasizes that he will stay true to that pledge, regardless of the challenges that lie ahead. In the vast ocean, 3 pirates, who are revealed to be members of Buggy's crew, come across the stranded thief girl in a boat. She offers to pay them in exchange for saving her, but when they board the girl's vessel to claim their reward, she cunningly steals their ship, leaving them stranded in the ocean. Meanwhile, Luffy and Zoro find themselves adrift at sea in their own boat, pondering their lack of navigation skills. Suddenly, their boat is jolted and Luffy's prized straw hat is blown off his head, dancing through the air. In a panic, he reaches out, but it is Zoro who catches the hat just before it lands in the water. Intrigued by the hat's significance, he prompts Luffy to have a flashback that unveils his past. He reminisces a bar bustling with pirates, where a young Luffy stands among the crew of Shanks. Determined to become a pirate himself, Luffy boasts about his exceptional swimming abilities, although Shanks teasingly dismisses him as merely a kid. Another pirate mentions having a child around Luffy's age. Suddenly, a notorious bandit named Higuma barges into the bar demanding alcohol. Makino, the bartender, informs him that all the booze has been sold to the pirates. Shanks offers him a bottle, but Higuma smashes it, declaring that he's a wanted man with a hefty bounty on his head. Higuma drenches Luffy in alcohol before storming out, leaving the pirates in laughter. Frustrated by Shanks' lack of retaliation, Luffy impulsively consumes a purple fruit he discovers in a small box. Shanks realizes the gravity of the situation and holds Luffy upside down, urging him to spit it out. However, it is too late as Luffy's body begins to stretch due to the effects of the Gum Gum fruit, a notorious devil fruit that grants him the abilities of a rubber man but renders him unable to swim. Later, Luffy finds himself in a dire predicament when he confronts the mountain bandits and becomes the target of Higuma and his gang. Witnessing the commotion, Makino rushes to seek help from the town's mayor, who attempts to reason with the bandits and even offers them money. Higuma, however, remains intent on killing Luffy. Suddenly, Shanks and his crew arrive on the scene. A bandit points a gun at Shanks' head, demanding his compliance, but a swift and precise shot from one of Shanks' pirates instantly kills the bandit. Shocked, everyone realizes the true danger posed by these pirates. As more bandits charge at Shanks, a robust member of his crew effortlessly dispatches them with a rifle used as a club, remarking that the bandits should have brought a battleship if they were serious about fighting. Frightened, Higuma throws a smoke bomb and flees with Luffy in a small boat, eventually casting the kid into the water. However, Luffy's inability to swim, caused by the devil fruit, puts him in grave danger of drowning. Amidst Higuma's cruel laughter, a colossal sea monster emerges from the depths and devours the evil bandit in one gulp. As the monster sets its sights on Luffy, Shanks intervenes just in time, deterring the creature with a single glance. Luffy clings to him, sobbing as he realizes Shanks lost his arm while protecting him. The kind-hearted pirate assures Luffy that his well-being is what matters most. Later, as Shanks and his crew prepare to depart, Luffy resolves to become a pirate on his own and embark on an extraordinary adventure. After their heartfelt encounter, Shanks entrusts his treasured straw hat to Luffy, urging him to return it when he becomes a renowned pirate and their paths cross again. With those parting words, Shanks and his crew sail away, concluding the flashback. Back in the present, Luffy catches sight of a vibrant pink bird soaring through the sky and, driven by his insatiable appetite, decides to make a meal out of it. Propelling himself towards the bird with his gum-gum rocket move, Luffy's head is unexpectedly ensnared in the bird's beak, and it swiftly carries him away. Fueled by determination, Zoro vigorously paddles after them, ultimately stumbling upon the pirates who had been left stranded by the cunning thief girl earlier. Initially attempting to seize control of Zoro and Luffy's boat, these pirates find themselves at the receiving end of Zoro's formidable strength, compelling them to begrudgingly take up rowing instead. During the encounter, the pirates reveal their affiliation with Buggy's crew and divulge the fact that Buggy possesses a unique power bestowed by a devil fruit. Meanwhile, as the bird continues its flight, it passes over a nearby town where the aforementioned thief girl is desperately evading pursuit by Buggy's pirates. Clutching a map of the fabled Grand Line, she flees through the bustling streets. Unexpectedly, Buggy's henchmen spot both Luffy and the bird from below, prompting Buggy to order them to be shot down. As the bird succumbs to the attack and hurtles towards the ground, Luffy plunges alongside it, crashing to the ground in front of the astonished thief girl. Undeterred by the abrupt landing, Luffy rises to his feet, proclaiming the experience to be quite intriguing. The thief girl and Buggy's pirates stand in shock, witnessing the unfolding events with wide eyes. As Luffy lands amidst the pirates and the young thief, she quickly devises a plan. The girl starts pretending that Luffy is her superior. This creates a diversion and makes the cunning girl escape. As she runs away, the pirates start attacking Luffy. Mesmerized, the girl watches from afar as Luffy effortlessly takes down Buggy's crew with a powerful gum-gum pistol attack. Introducing herself as Nami, she realizes Luffy's strength and seizes the opportunity to approach him. The girl suggests that they join forces. Although Luffy initially declines, Nami entices him by offering to treat Luffy to a meal, and he agrees to accompany her. They find themselves in an abandoned house sharing a meal, where Nami reveals her relentless pursuit of amassing a fortune of 100 million berries. Luffy soon discovers that Nami is a skilled navigator, as she casually mentions stealing a valuable map of the Grand Line from Buggy. When Luffy proposes that she joins his pirate crew, Nami vehemently refuses, driven by her deep-seated hatred for pirates. Unbeknownst to Luffy, Nami cunningly deceives him, swiftly capturing and binding him, presenting him as a gesture of goodwill to Buggy. She also asks to join his crew, which he accepts. Consequently, Luffy finds himself trapped in a cage, while Buggy seizes the opportunity to celebrate Nami's joining. During the extravagant celebration, Buggy proudly showcases his destructive weapon, the Buggy Ball, obliterating an entire row of houses. In a sinister turn of events, the evil pirate commands Nami to use the Buggy Ball to blow up Luffy. Despite her reservations, Nami cannot bring herself to harm her newfound ally. However, one of Buggy's pirates seizes the matches and heads towards the cannon, prompting Nami to swiftly retaliate, subduing him with her wooden staff. Although the fuse is ignited, Nami fearlessly grabs hold of it with her bare hands, extinguishing the flame, firmly declaring her disdain for pirates and refusing to stoop to their level. Infuriated by Nami's defiance, Buggy's henchmen launch an attack against her. Just as the situation becomes dire, Zoro arrives on the scene, valiantly intervening and incapacitating the assailants. Recognizing Zoro as the infamous pirate hunter, Buggy directs his fury towards him, engaging them in combat. Zoro swiftly dismembers Buggy, slicing him into pieces. However, Buggy's incredible ability to separate his body parts allows him to reform and retaliate. Explaining his peculiar powers acquired from consuming the chop fruit, the evil pirate renews his assault. In the midst of the chaos, Luffy, unyielding in his defiance, taunts Buggy for his cowardice and prominent red nose, further enraging the volatile pirate. Buggy hurls a knife at Luffy, but the agile young pirate effortlessly catches it between his teeth. Meanwhile, Zoro charges towards Buggy, leading to an intense exchange of blows. Zoro ultimately slices through Buggy's midsection to bypass him and heads toward the cannon, deftly manipulating its aim to target Buggy and his crew. With Nami igniting the fuse, the cannon unleashes a devastating Buggy Bomb, hurtling directly towards the Buggy pirates, poised to eliminate them. As the dust settles from the destructive blast of the buggy ball, Zoro, his body weakened and bleeding, summons the last of his strength to lift Luffy's cage form. Determined to protect his friend, he drags the cage to a nearby pet food shop, where exhaustion overtakes him, causing Zoro to collapse into near unconsciousness. Amidst the chaos, Luffy's gaze falls upon a small puppy situated in front of the shop. Just then, Nami emerges on the scene and throws Luffy a key to his cage. However, fate plays a mischievous hand as the puppy swallows the key. Luffy, undeterred, takes matters into his own hands, albeit unorthodoxly, by squeezing the key out of the puppy's throat. Their momentary exchange is interrupted by the arrival of the town's mayor, who sternly demands that Luffy leave the dog be. Respecting the mayor's wishes, Luffy releases his grip on the pup. In an act of compassion, the mayor takes the wounded Zoro to his residence, where the weary swordsman insists on resting. Shortly thereafter, the mayor returns and sheds light on the poignant story of the dog, Chow Chow. It had lost his beloved owner, and the townsfolk believe that the faithful canine still waits for their reunion. However, the mayor understands that Chow Chow has come to terms with his owner's demise and now guards the pet food shop, which holds immense sentimental value to the dog. Their respite is abruptly shattered as Moji, Buggy's formidable first mate, arrives atop Richie, his colossal pet lion, having obtained permission to eliminate Zoro. Intent on discovering his whereabouts, Moji attempts to subdue Chochu, but ends up being bitten instead. Displaying unwavering loyalty, the little puppy confronts Richie, fiercely attacking the lion. Yet Chow Chow's bravery is short-lived as Richie easily overpowers him. In a swift and forceful motion, the formidable lion smashes Luffy's cage, sending him hurtling into a nearby building. Chow Chow, despite enduring a brutal assault, continues to valiantly defend his owner's cherished legacy. The dog's determination is fueled by heart-rending flashbacks of the loving bond with his departed master. In the midst of the chaos, Nami and the mayor rush to Luffy's side, astounded by his resilience. Meanwhile, he watches with growing anger as Chow Chow struggles against Richie, witnessing the destruction of the pet food shop it held dear. Overwhelmed by indignation, Luffy unleashes his fury, delivering a powerful gum-gum hammer that forcefully drives Richie into the ground. Moji, recognizing Luffy's abilities as a fellow devil fruit user like his captain Buggy, pleads for forgiveness. However, understanding that an apology cannot restore Chow Chow's treasure, Luffy swiftly dispatches the tamer with a single powerful punch, knocking him unconscious. Nami, initially outraged by the destruction of the pet food shop, momentarily contemplates ending Luffy's life, fearing that he may become a cruel pirate. However, her heart softens when she realizes that Luffy fought wholeheartedly to protect the pet food shop. Overwhelmed by guilt, she extends her sincere apologies to him. It dawns on both Nami and the mayor that Luffy, like Buggy, has consumed a devil fruit, endowing him with the elasticity of rubber. Meanwhile, Moji returns to Buggy and relays the news of their defeat. Enraged, the pirate captain orders complete annihilation of the town. A buggy ball is launched, reducing the mayor's house to rubble. Miraculously unscathed, Zoro regains consciousness and stands atop the rubble. The mayor becomes upset at all the chaos caused by the evil pirates in his town. Ignoring the warnings of Luffy, Zoro, and Nami, he stubbornly resolves to confront Buggy the clown pirate in battle. Inspired by the mayor's unwavering determination, Luffy and Zoro make up their minds to join the fight against Buggy and his crew. Luffy extends an invitation to Nami, urging her to temporarily join their cause since they share a common goal. In the midst of their preparations, Buggy issues an order for a second buggy ball to be launched, intent on unleashing further destruction. However, the mayor arrives on the scene, determined to halt the impending catastrophe. Fearlessly, he challenges Buggy, only to find himself ensnared by the pirate's clutches, his hand tightly gripping the mayor's throat. At this critical moment, Luffy arrives, fueled by a sense of justice. Without hesitation, he intervenes, forcefully prying Buggy's hand from the mayor's neck, freeing him from the pirate captain's suffocating grasp. Zoro and Nami arrive just in the nick of time as the mayor declares his fierce intent to fight Buggy till his last breath. Luffy, recognizing the danger, swiftly knocks the mayor unconscious to protect him from harm. Proving himself fearless, he once again taunts Buggy by mocking his prominent nose. Enraged, the pirate orders his crew to obliterate Luffy with a barrage of explosive buggy balls. The cannoneer follows the command, unleashing a volley of bombs towards him. In a display of his extraordinary abilities, Luffy utilizes Gum Gum Balloon attack to inflate his body, effectively bouncing the bombs back towards the buggy pirates. The ensuing explosion engulfs the structure on which the pirates stood. Buggy, cunning as ever, shields himself from the blast by using his subordinates as human shields. Kabaji, another member of the crew, protects himself by hiding behind Richie, the lion companion, much to the dismay of Moji. A clash erupts between Kabaji and Moji, with the latter being swiftly repelled by a powerful kick. Luffy takes advantage of the situation, delivering a powerful blow that sends Moji soaring through the air. Seizing the opportunity, Buggy commands Kabaji to eliminate Luffy. As he charges forward on his unicycle, brandishing a sword, Zoro intervenes, declaring himself as Kabaji's adversary. The duel between Kabaji and Zoro intensifies rapidly. Exploiting the latter's previous injury, Kabaji launches a barrage of kicks to the swordsman's wounded side, momentarily forcing him to hesitate. However, Zoro refuses to succumb, resolutely standing his ground as the fierce battle rages on. Kabaji employs a series of dazzling carnival tricks, culminating in a direct charge aimed at Zoro, his sword poised to strike. Buggy intervenes by launching his detachable hand, intent on ensnaring Zoro's foot. Yet Luffy swiftly stomps on Buggy's hand, impeding its progress. Zoro manages to evade Kabaji's attack with a timely leap, narrowly escaping harm. Meanwhile, Nami seizes the opportunity to discreetly infiltrate the scene, deftly avoiding a drunken pirate and stealthily infiltrating Buggy's treasure trove. When discovered, she swiftly incapacitates the drunk pirate. Zoro, determined to conclude the duel, rises once more to face Kabaji head-on. They charge at each other with unwavering resolve, and Zoro executes Onigiri, a devastating slash that brings his opponent down in a single stroke. Exhausted, Zoro collapses, leaving Luffy to declare that he will handle the remaining adversaries. The stage is set for the final confrontation between Luffy and Buggy. As tensions escalate, the nasty pirate remarks on the familiarity of Luffy's straw hat, evoking memories of a man he despises. Luffy realizes that Buggy is referring to Shanks and implores him to divulge his whereabouts. Buggy, harboring deep resentment, refuses to provide any information. Determined to obtain answers, Luffy vows to extract the truth through force. The evil pirate captain unsheathes his knives and initiates the chop-chop rice cracker attack. Luffy narrowly evades the deadly onslaught, retaliating with Gum Gum pistol. However, Buggy adeptly evades the attack, leaving Luffy vulnerable. Undeterred, he employs the Gum Gum sickle, but Buggy's chop-chop quick escape allows him to dodge yet again, sending Luffy crashing into a nearby building. Emerging from the rubble, his fury is ignited when he discovers that Buggy has managed to damage the cherished straw hat. A flood of memories from Luffy's past with Shanks surges through his mind, intensifying Luffy's determination. He demands that Buggy relinquish his precious treasure, the straw hat. Buggy, fueled by his deep-seated animosity towards Shanks, seethes with contempt, vowing to curse his former comrade for eternity. In a surprising revelation, Buggy discloses that he and Shanks were once comrades, sailing the same ship together. Buggy asserts his authority to refer to Shanks however he pleases, fueled by his deep resentment towards him for snatching away great riches. Buggy proceeds to recount their shared history, tracing back to their youth when a dispute over the temperatures of the North and South Poles ignited a rivalry between them. Amidst their argument, they were momentarily separated by a fellow crew member's intervention. Soon after, their pirate ship spotted an enemy vessel, prompting an attack. Buggy seized the opportunity to slay one of the ship's occupants and discovered a concealed treasure map hidden in the man's clothing, keeping its existence a secret. Following a celebration, Shanks and Buggy found themselves sitting together, engaging in conversation. Shanks revealed his aspirations to establish his own pirate crew one day and divulged information about a devil fruit they acquired from the enemy ship. He explained the unique abilities granted by the fruit, but also highlighted its drawback, rendering the eater incapable of swimming due to the sea's hostility. Shanks mentioned its staggering value of 100 million berries, inciting Buggy to devise a plan to pilfer it. The following day, Buggy publicly consumed a counterfeit devil fruit while concealing the genuine one, intending to sell it later. However, as he plotted to leave the pirate crew and embark on a personal treasure hunt, Shanks unexpectedly confronted him, leading to Buggy hastily stuffing the devil fruit into his mouth. Startled by the sudden appearance of Luffy, he inadvertently ingested the fruit, leaving him fuming over his inability to dive into the ocean's depths in search of the treasure. Amidst Buggy's enraged outburst towards Shanks, the precious map slipped from his grasp and drifted into the water. Despite Buggy's newfound handicap, he dove in the ocean to save the map. However, Shanks saved him from a potential watery demise. In the present, Luffy points out that Shanks had saved Buggy's life, but the latter vehemently denies it, blaming his ex-comrade for derailing his plans and forcing him to rely on land-based treasures for the past decade. As Buggy seethes with frustration, his upper body separates and hovers in the air, catching sight of Nami pilfering his prized possessions. Determined to reclaim what is rightfully his, Buggy gives chase, but Luffy intervenes by delivering a powerful kick to his lower body, incapacitating him. In Buggy's defeated state and further incensed by Nami's claim on his treasure, he unleashes the chop-chop festival technique, causing his dismembered body parts to scatter haphazardly. Luffy seizes one of Buggy's feet and subjects him to tickling and pulling, throwing Buggy into disarray. When the pirate attempts to reunite his body, Nami binds his remaining parts, leaving him immobilized. Taking advantage of the situation, Luffy employs his Gum Gum Bazooka attack, propelling Buggy through the air, resulting in his defeat. Meanwhile, the townspeople grow increasingly concerned about their mayor. They come in search of him and witness the unconscious mayor along with the extensive damage to their town. The citizens attribute the devastation to the work of pirates. However, Luffy steps forward and confesses that he was responsible for kicking the unconscious mayor. This revelation causes a sudden shift in the townspeople's sentiments, turning their anger towards Luffy, Nami, and Zoro. Not realizing the dire situation, Luffy openly acknowledges their pirate status, fueling the fury of the townspeople who now pursue them relentlessly. The trio finds refuge in an alley where they encounter Chow Chow, a dog who wards off the angry mob with its barks. Reaching their boat and Nami's pilfered vessel, they are confronted by the pirates from whom Nami stole the ship. However, upon seeing Zoro, the pirates hastily retreat. Nami boards her stolen ship while Luffy and Zoro embark on their own vessel, setting sail as a newfound crew. As they make their departure, the mayor regains consciousness and scolds the townspeople for chasing away Luffy and his companions. Despite initially appearing angry, the mayor's demeanor changes as he regains his senses. Upon reaching the shore, the mayor exclaims his gratitude towards Luffy and his companions, acknowledging that the town is indebted to them for their actions. However, Nami's mood takes a turn when she discovers that Luffy selflessly left behind half of her treasure to contribute to the town's restoration. Infuriated by his kindness, she vents her frustration by attempting to drown Luffy, while Zoro finds amusement in the situation and laughs it off. In a different location, a mysterious figure with an elongated nose stands confidently, hinting at a new development to come. In a bustling village named Syrup, an exuberant individual with an unmistakable prominent nose dashes through the streets. He is urgently warning the townspeople about the imminent arrival of pirates. Meanwhile, out at sea, Nami contemplates the need for a ship if they are to embark on their journey to the Grand Line. Back in Syrup Village, the eccentric fellow, known as Usopp, confesses that his earlier proclamation was nothing but a fabrication, much to the disappointment and anger of the villagers. Fleeing the scornful gazes, Usopp seeks solace in the company of his two young comrades who proudly claim their membership in his fictional pirate crew. However, their encounter is interrupted by another child member who rushes in, breathless, announcing the arrival of actual pirates. Initially inclined to escape and indulge in a snack, Usopp is eventually persuaded by his pint-sized companions to confront the real pirates. As Luffy, Zoro, and Nami make landfall, Usopp emerges from the village to greet them, introducing himself with a grandiose claim of having an army of 80 million men ready to crush them. Nami, perceptive as ever, sees through Usopp's boastful facade, causing him to panic. With his trusty slingshot in hand, Usopp defiantly aims a pinball at Luffy, asserting that his slingshot is more formidable than any pistol. A tense silence ensues as Luffy and Usopp lock eyes, during which the former recites words of wisdom imparted by Shanks, urging Usopp to believe in their status as genuine pirates and stake his life on it. Overwhelmed, Usopp crumbles under the weight of Luffy's intimidating speech, only to know that he stole the words from Shanks. Usopp reveals that he knows about the red-haired pirate, to which Luffy also mentions his resemblance to the legendary sniper Usopp. It is revealed that he is Usopp's father, who was a crew member of Shanks with remarkable skills. Usopp leads his newfound acquaintances to a local restaurant, where Luffy continues to regale them with tales of Usopp's encounters and the fond memories he shared with him as a child. Nami seizes the opportunity to inquire about the possibility of acquiring a ship in the village, only to be met with Usopp's disheartening response. However, Zoro inquires about a conspicuous mansion atop a nearby hill, piquing their curiosity. Swiftly, Usopp flees the scene. Meanwhile, within the mansion, Kaya, the Heiress, and her butler, Klahadore, discuss Usopp, with Klahadore sternly forbidding Kaya from interacting with him. Undeterred, Usopp defies the butler's orders and pays Kaya a visit, weaving an elaborate tale about a fierce battle against a colossal goldfish with excrement the size of islands. Back at the restaurant, the little Usopp pirates barge in, intending to confront Luffy and his companions, only to be deceived into believing that they have devoured Usopp. After the misunderstanding is cleared up, the young pirates lead Luffy, Zoro, and Nami to Kaya's mansion. They shed light on Usopp's fondness for embellishing stories to uplift Kaya's spirits after the tragic loss of her parents and her subsequent illness. Luffy decides to approach Kaya and request a ship, but as they approach the mansion's gates, the group is confronted by vigilant guards. Swiftly employing his rubber-based abilities, Luffy utilizes the intrude technique, launching himself and his companions over the imposing fence, resulting in a chaotic crash landing near Usopp. In another part of the town, a man adorned with heart-shaped goggles is shown executing a peculiar moonwalk. The mysterious figure, still engaged in his peculiar moonwalk, reappears in the scene. Meanwhile, at Kaya's mansion, Klahadore adamantly insists that Luffy and the others, whom he deems as trespassers, should leave. However, Kaya intervenes, assuring the butler that their presence is acceptable, yet he remains unconvinced and expresses his disagreement. Usopp attempts to evade Klahadore by hiding behind a tree, but his concealment is in vain as he gets caught. Klahadore maliciously proceeds to belittle Usopp's father, Usopp, labeling him as a filthy and low-class pirate. This incenses Usopp, and in a fit of anger, he lands a punch on Klahadore's face, knocking him to the ground. Undeterred, the butler rises and continues his verbal assault, provoking Usopp further by accusing him of inheriting his father's barbarism and violence. He deliberately goads Usopp, taunting him to embrace his father's perceived worthlessness. In response, Usopp delivers a heartfelt speech, expressing his pride in his pirate lineage and vowing to defend his father's honor. Despite Usopp's impassioned words, Klahadore dismisses them, insinuating that Usopp is merely feigning friendship with Kaya for her wealth. Enraged, Usopp's fury intensifies, but Kaya intercedes, urging him to restrain himself, and he reluctantly departs. The young members of Usopp's crew express their indignation, only to be frightened away by the imposing butler. Luffy, too, is infuriated, but Zoro and Nami restrain him as Klahadore orders them all to leave. Later, Kaya finds herself in tears within the confines of her room. Klahadore enters with a meal, attempting to coax her into eating by asserting that the cook has poured his heart into preparing it. Curiosity pique, Kaya questions Klahadore's harsh treatment of Usopp, prompting him to recount the day 3 years ago he arrived at the mansion battered and on the brink of death. Kaya's father, in an act of compassion, provided him shelter and subsequently offered Klahadore a position as her butler. He expresses his remorse at her parents' death, emphasizing that Klahadore would never forgive himself if anything were to befall Kaya. Hence, his actions are driven by a sense of duty and gratitude toward her late father. Although Kaya acknowledges Usopp's innocence, Klahadore sternly urges her to let the matter rest, prompting Kaya's anger in a futile attempt to change his stubborn perspective by calling him a blockhead. In another part of the island, the mysterious moonwalking man continues his enigmatic backward walk. He catches the attention of one of Usopp's little crew members, who hastens to inform the others. Nami and Zoro, perched on a fence, contemplate Luffy's whereabouts. The Usopp pirates approach, excitedly relaying information about the peculiar individual who walks backward. Introducing himself as Django, the man confidently moonwalks toward them, dismissing Nami's assertion that he is peculiar. According to Django, he is merely a passing hypnotist. The Usopp pirates express their desire to witness a demonstration, leading Django to hypnotize them using his ring. However, his attempt at mesmerism inadvertently causes him to fall asleep as well. Meanwhile, atop a cliff overlooking the ocean, Luffy and Usopp engage in a conversation about Yasopp's illustrious pirate career. From their vantage point, they observe Klahadore and Django's arrival, engaged in a secretive discussion about their plans. Unbeknownst to Kaya and her companions, a chilling revelation unfolds atop the cliff. It is revealed that Klahadore, the seemingly loyal butler, is none other than Captain Kuro, a treacherous and cunning pirate who was presumed executed 3 years prior. Kuro's identity was concealed through the use of a body double. Accompanying him is Django, a hypnotist, who discloses their sinister plot to assassinate Kaya in order for Kuro to claim her inheritance. Their intention is to stage the murder as an unfortunate accident by attacking the whole village. Kuro instructs Django to hypnotize Kaya before her demise, compelling the girl to write a will that favors Klahadore as her trusted servant. Luffy, unable to bear witness to such a heinous act, rises to his feet and vehemently protests against Kaya's impending murder. Usopp panics, realizing that their cover has been blown. Seizing the opportunity, Django utilizes his hypnotic abilities to lull Luffy into a deep slumber, inadvertently succumbing to sleep himself. However, Usopp manages to crouch and evade the hypnotic influence. As Luffy tumbles forward off the cliff, landing on his head, the others are convinced that he has met his demise. Exploiting this misconception, Kuro warns Usopp that his words hold no credibility within the village, where he is widely regarded as a habitual liar. With Usopp left unharmed, Kuro and Django depart, leaving him torn between his urgent mission to inform Kaya and the fear of her potential anger. Meanwhile, Kuro gazes out onto the water, spotting his former pirate ship, now poised to carry out the impending assassination. Zoro, Nami, and the Usopp pirates patiently await the return of Luffy and Usopp at the coast. Spotting the latter rushing toward them, they call out to him, but he ignores their inquiries and hurries past without uttering a word. In the village, Usopp bursts in, urgently warning the townspeople about the impending arrival of pirates the next morning and urging them to evacuate. However, his reputation as a habitual liar precedes him, and the enraged villagers dismiss Usopp's words, unwilling to believe his claims. Realizing the futility of his efforts, he comprehends the validity of Kuro's earlier warning. No one will trust his words. Determined to take action, Usopp rushes towards Kaya's mansion. Meanwhile, Zoro and Nami decide to search for Luffy at the coast, accompanied by the Usopp pirates. As they reach the cliff's base, they discover Luffy lying motionless, seemingly lifeless. Zoro prods him, and to their relief, he awakens unharmed. At the mansion, an elderly servant named Mary presents Kaya with the glasses she had requested him to procure for Klahadore's 3rd anniversary as her caretaker. Just then, Usopp arrives, frantically urging Kaya to flee, warning her of Klahadore's sinister intentions to assassinate Kaya and seize her inheritance. However, she staunchly refuses to believe his claims. Back at the cliff, Luffy recounts the recent events to the others and emphasizes the urgency of returning to the village to prevent the store owners from evacuating. which would leave him without his beloved meat. Zoro admonishes Luffy for his carefree attitude, reminding him to focus on the pressing matter at hand. Simultaneously, Mary, the mansion's servant, spots Usopp and confronts him with a firearm, prompting Usopp to grab Kaya and jump down to the lower level for safety. More guards armed with guns emerge, aiming to force Usopp to leave, but he counters by firing his slingshot to drive them away. He tugs at Kaya's arm, urging her to escape, but she slaps him in disbelief. Mary takes aim at Usopp and shoots him in the arm, prompting the poor guy to flee. The servant informs the gathered townspeople, who have formed an angry mob, that Usopp had attempted to harm Kaya, inciting them to give chase. On the Black Cat Pirates, Kuro's ex-ship, he addresses his crew, revealing their plan to attack the village at dawn. As the sun sets, Usopp strolls along the beach, reminiscing about the tales he used to share with Kaya. Suddenly, he hears the calls of the Usopp pirates, and to his astonishment, he finds Luffy alive and well. Usopp begins to disclose Kuro's plan but hesitates, recalling his earlier experiences, considering the town's perception of him as a liar. Disheartened by the lack of trust, Usopp says that it was all a lie. Upon hearing this, his little pirates express their disappointment and depart. Later, Nami tends to Usopp's injured arm and questions his decision to fabricate everything. Usopp candidly confesses that he did so because he is accustomed to being branded as a liar, assuming that no one would believe him regardless. However, Usopp fervently declares his love for the village and the unwavering determination to protect it. Encouraged by Luffy, Zoro, and Nami, who affirm their support and admiration for Usopp's courage, he musters his resolve, acknowledging his fear while vowing to fight nonetheless.